Okay, look, I know that the quality of this video is going to come across as looking piss poor when you're watching it, because I'm sat in a van, I've come out and I've given the dogs a run, and I'm sat in the van with a couple of them now, and I'm recording this I didn't intend to record anything at all until later on in the new year, but I'm recording this because I've just seen a video, and I'm going to name the person. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to name the person of the video that I've seen, and I'm going to say why it is that I'm recording it and why it is that I felt compelled to say something about it, because it's someone that I subscribe to and someone that a lot of the stuff that I watch them do I think is nice. You know, I think it's pretty good. And the person's Peter Kane. So if you haven't seen him, he'll probably thank me because I'm giving him subscribers. But it's Peter Kane Dog Training. He's a dog trainer in New York, and he's one of those blokes. He's like Marmite. You either absolutely love the guy or you think he's an asshole. Personally, I as a person, I'm sure he's a phenomenal bloke. I'm sure he's a really, really nice guy, and there's a lot of stuff that he says that resonates with me, and I agree with so much of his opinions and his passion for what he does. He seems like a cracking guy. And then he put up a video that I've just seen. For some reason, I haven't seen any of them in ages, but this one just popped up, and I watched it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the video in the comments box just below. So let me just say, this isn't a dig at the guy as an individual, right? It's nothing to do with whether he sees it or whether anybody who thinks he's fantastic sees it. It isn't to do with him as an individual. It's to do with what the video shows and the message that's being put across. And what it is it's taking two dogs and putting each dog into a place position, right? So getting them to go to a particular place and remain there until released, or hold a position whilst they're there. In this instance, a sit, and the sit is in a heel position. And it is just basically, you know, that's what's going on. And the dog, I think there's a new dog and an older dog, that, you know, as in one that he's had only recently and one that's had a bit longer, you know, that are both doing the same behaviour. And all I want to say is I've watched this, right? And I, like I say, I support this guy in a lot of what he says, because he is on an uphill battle, and it's a battle that I agree with him on much of what he says. Though this video made me think, I don't know, you know, I don't know. And probably people have seen stuff that I've done and thought, I don't know, you know, may well have done. And that's individual choice. And this is my choice. I'll tell you why. There's a young dog that's been shown a place command, okay? So you have a particular location, it's a raised surface, and the dog needs to get onto it. And as Tilly grunted away, sorry, she's just crashed out. I don't know, you'll see her in a minute. And there's a dog that needs to get onto this raised place, raised surface, perform a particular behaviour, in this case sit, and then move from that surface. The thing that instantly jumps out at me, right, is the dog doesn't understand what it's supposed to be doing, right? Fine. And I'm sure that Peter Kane knows that the dog doesn't understand what it's supposed to be doing. So what he's using is compulsion. You'll do it. Negative reinforcement. When you do it, the pressure of the lead and collar goes away, right? Absolutely fine. No problem with that at all. But what you then get is, now I'm giving the dog positive reinforcement by saying, good boy. Good boy isn't positive reinforcement. Good boy is something that means something to you and I, and unless the dog laps that up, and that's what they're working for, the use of the words good boy, good girl, good job, depending on where you come from, or yay, unless the dog actually responds in a totally sort of like exuberant manner to that, then it isn't reinforcing, it isn't rewarding. You might think it is, because you've gone from saying no, no, no to good boy, and you're changing the tone of your voice and you're changing the words that you use. But that is only reinforcing, that is only positive reinforcement, that is only rewarding, it's only strengthening behaviour if the dog perceives it to be a reward. If it isn't, you may as well clam up and keep quiet, because it isn't rewarding the dog. So I think that in this instance, I'll put the video in the comments below, and you can see it's quite early on where he says it with this dog, and you can see that it means nothing to the dog really. At some point the dog gives like a low wag of the tail, and I'm not one for freezing videos, taking snapshots, saying look at the state of the dog. I know that you know, emotional states change. I know that stress is a necessary component of learning and adaptation, you know, and relearning. I understand that. But when you're saying that the dog's enjoying themselves and the dog's going, next to you, it isn't enjoying itself. It isn't being positively reinforced. The dog's under stress. And you're better off just saying, look, the dog's showing signs of stress. And it's showing signs of stress because of the fact that it doesn't understand what's required. And what I'm doing is repetitively showing it the requirement. I'm showing it what's required. I'm going to reduce that stress, eliminate that stress, introduce a word that's associated with something positive so that I can then start using positive reinforcement for the dog. But to simply say no, 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 good, yes, nice, good job, or what, that isn't positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, punishment. It isn't any of those things. It's words. It means nothing to anybody apart from the person who's saying it and the audience, unless the dog is responding appropriately in accordance with the words that are spoken. So that's the first thing that I was going to say. The second thing that I was going to say about the video that really sort of like made me think, oh, I don't know, man, yeah, this isn't really, it isn't really up my street, is the fact that everything's compelled. You know, that there's nothing where there's no sort of like, go for it, show me what you've got. You know, there's always a lead on. There's always a lead and collar on. And you could say, yeah, well, that's because I don't want the dog to go wrong. But if the dog doesn't go wrong, how the hell can the dog learn? You know, and so it's you need to, if you're in such a confined environment as an apartment or a room of an apartment, then you've got no reason whatsoever to not to take the lead off and the collar off, have the dog respond, or give the command, see that the dog responds with the command without the pressure of the lead and collar, and reward the dog for doing the appropriate thing, or fail to reward the dog, or give a verbal marker to the dog, no, incorrect, get the dog to do it. Do you know what I mean? But when it's always on a lead and collar, then you've got to ask yourself, well, what's happening when that's coming off? And also, as a trainer, this isn't for general pet owners, unless you're somebody who's particularly interested, and this isn't meant to be in any way condescending, patronising or anything else, but from a trainer's perspective, if you look at the consistency of the information that's conveyed between the trainer and the dog, it's hugely variable. You know, there are words coming in that blur, basically. It's completely unnecessary. Because on the one hand, we're saying that dogs don't think of you when you're not present. Dogs, you know, are simply almost like automata. You know, they're things that sort of like here respond, here respond, here respond, which we know isn't true. You know, they're sentient. You know that they have feelings. You know, the extent of those feelings, yes, it's questionable. But to come back to what we're saying, if I'm going to say that was absolutely perfect, mate, well, all of that, if I could just say good. Why am I saying that was absolutely perfect, mate? If I'm saying that a dog doesn't understand or doesn't have the capacity to attach thought to the presence or absence of a human being, then shit me, it certainly doesn't have the capacity to understand the linkage of the words, that was absolutely awesome, dude, that was perfect, man. Why are you saying it? I don't understand it. If you're training the dog, why are you throwing in all of these unnecessary verbals if it's not simply to appease an audience? Which is the sort of thing that you're saying that you go against. You're saying that you're there to train dogs and you're there to make it black and white and simple for dogs, yet you're putting in things there that are completely and utterly unnecessary. I don't understand why these words are being used. Anyway, look, the top and bottom of it is, to my mind, I've looked at this video. Again, I'm going to say once more, it's linked below. The guy should... I have nothing whatsoever against the man as a person. Nothing whatsoever. I have nothing whatsoever against a hell of a lot of what he does in a training capacity. I like a lot of what he does. I just saw this and I thought, oh, it's sort of like a rang alarm bells, because I thought you were almost sort of like going down a very slippery path here, which is towards compulsion, 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 do as you're frigging told, which is then when you're saying, and is said here, the dog is taught what it likes and what it doesn't like. That's an error. You know, there's a misunderstanding coming in there. You cannot teach what is intrinsically rewarding and what is intrinsically aversive. You can't teach that. And to say that, look, anything that you're going to enjoy, I'm going to instill. If you're then going to say, hey, good boy, and the dog's thinking, fucking hell, then something's jarring. Something isn't right, and I'd ask you to look at it. So look, anyway, I didn't mean to record this video, and I might live to regret it. I don't know, but it's something that I felt compelled to do because I watched the video below and I needed to record these comments. Any comments that you have will remain. I won't delete anything. And anyway, look, Happy New Year. It's 30th. So New Year's Eve tomorrow. Happy New Year to everyone. Cheers. Thank you.